And we are live.
Good morning, everyone. On this great day, this fateful day of the solar eclipse, I'm coming to you live. It's V, the Guerrilla Economist, and my main man, CJ, the master of the flux capacitor, where we bring you the news, the views, and all the information that's important to you. We're breaking down everything that you need in order for you to succeed and understand what is going on. Check us out on roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money and Rogue Money Facebook and Rogue Money on every single podcasting app known to mankind. Also, check out Rogue Money on Apple News and eventually Google News. Once all this, God knows when the censorship stuff is all over with. Who knows? Probably not. Also, check out our sponsors, myfreedomnow.us, myfreedomnow.us. Get your credit fixed, get out of debt. And if you ain't got no credit or debt problems, they can get you up to 600K to get your investments, dream business, whatever the heck you need set up. They deal with a network of 335 lenders, myfreedomnow.us and mygoldusb.com. Mygoldusb.com. Surf the deep web with 1024-bit military grade encryption with and as well as securing your Bitcoin wallet, email, messaging, web browsing. Make yourself look like Ed Snowden, but in a much more slick and cool way, where the NSA won't even know what the heck's going on unless they stand right next to you. MyGoldUSB.com. With that being said, CJ, holy crap, we got a lot of crap to go through.
There's so much going on, V, and I'm super pumped. I'm super excited. We got the solar eclipse Maximus today, or whatever it's called.
I'm taking your advice. I'm wearing two gorilla costumes, two gorilla suits, one over the other. I'm frightened.
I'm frightened as well, V. I got some of these solar eclipse glasses to look through, and they're basically like the equivalent of like welding shields. Basically,
Yeah.
You ever seen those welding? How
Yep.
it's so dark you can't see anything through them at
No.
all.
I'm actually gonna wear a gorilla welder's mask and just lay outside on my driveway, look up at the sky, and see what happens. I'm gonna work on my tan while I'm out there, and I strip down to my speedos.
There you go. There you
Right.
go.
Very frightening. Very frightening. Anyway, man, the topsy turvy continues. It's Survivor Island, aka the Apprentice White House edition, continues. Bannon is out. He left voluntarily. That's what all the indications are showing. He feels that he can be much more effective outside at this point than he can be on the inside. I tend to agree with that. It seems like nothing can get done. What does it all mean? What does it all mean? Well, Bannon said he said a lot of things, CJ. I mean, one of the things he says is that the presidency that we all voted for is over. Now we have to continue to fight for the presidency. Like, I mean, I don't know what it exactly means. I don't know how to take it. Um, you know, Obviously there's still life there. I don't think he's telling people to just give up. But there's still life there. We still have a populist nationalist movement, and he wants to do whatever he can to trump up to light the embers, so to speak. Because let's be honest here, and I think we're all starting to reach this point, CJ, that the only real change is going to come if the American public descends on DC. I'm starting to see that. Or until now and then, a big name in Libtardville, a big establishment name, falls. Unless one of those two things happens, I don't know, Siege. Okay, so you know, without Bannon, it seems like the narrative is changing for the worse. Okay, a lot of people are questioning, and it's a crazy time. It's a crazy time. I don't have the inside baseball onto what the hell's going on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So that's the deal, man. What's your take, man?
Gosh, V, there's so much to say. I thought about it. Obviously, as I prepare for the show and everything, never has more thought to go into what was said in regards to Bannon's exit and what it means. We hear that he did give his first, speech in regards to what this means, what has transpired, and there is reason for concern. There's no doubt about that. I think that with him returning to Breitbart and the ability to do exactly what you just said, to kind of shake the average American awake. I think that is what truly needs to take place for your average American. And what I mean by average, I mean somebody that may be still plugged into their television to get their news, someone that traditionally thinks that, hey, I have my job, I get my paycheck, I have my house, I can pay my bills. Those people that may not be aware of what is going to happen, several months, potentially a year down the road in regards to this massive change we're going to witness geopolitically, those people may not at all be aware of this attempt to basically to neuter this administration. And in part, by Bannon leaving, there is reason concerns, primarily because now we have to wonder who has Trump's ear in his inner circle. So I think we look at Ivanka, we look at Jared, we look at Mike Pence. A few of these people have very liberal ideologies, and so I think that's the reason for caution. Now, with that being said, I think that Trump is very well smart enough to have a out of the Oval Office inner working circle that is going to have benefit with having Bannon out of there. That way, there's not so much scrutiny drawn about this. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, see here, CJ saying they're playing 10D chess now, right, V?"
Yeah,
it's 10D chess. However, I think that potentially could exist, and it would be a lot more beneficial regarding the actions, the things that need to take place. And I'll give an example where I think the narrative has changed a little bit. And I streamed live over the weekend, the Boston freedom of speech rally.
Yeah.
And it really scared me, V. It really scared me to watch people that had a great speech talking about freedom. And I'll go over real quick the presenters. You had Dr. Shiva Adari, and I believe he's running for Senate.
He's a white supremacist. You can tell just by his name. He's a white supremacist.
Exactly right, V. And his speech, and I tried to stream it live because I thought it was important to get the message out, but I think they were messing with his Periscope. It's funny how all the protesters' Periscopes were working just perfectly fine, but from within the speech they were not. So his speech was about love, about unification of all races and backgrounds to take on the establishment. That was his speech. There was also a pro Bernie Sanders supporters, another guy by the name of Daniel Alejandro Medina. You can tell another white supremacist their name.
Oh my God, another white supremacist, CJ,
who had a great great speech in regards to liberty, freedom, everything that this speech was about. And then you had Joe Biggs. Joe Biggs is probably the most, not the most, but he's definitely an all right figurehead, very
Oh my
pro
God, Joe Biggs.
Trump,
He must
pro.
be the leader of the neo-Nazi movement himself.
So needless to say, so basically what happened was Boston PD corralled this free speech area, and there was almost like a little area that they were like a circle. They barricaded off and they allowed just one way in and one way out of this speech area. So in the free speech area that was designated to give the speech, there was probably no more than 20 people in that area. Yeah. And the reason why this happened is because these counter protesters, Antifa, possibly even Nazis themselves or fascists themselves, these people that want to shut down freedom of speech in America, they had enough of a presence there that people that wanted to go attend the rally, people that wanted to talk about free speech, people that wanted to listen, they could not get into this area. They completely shut it down. And to see Ivanka Trump celebrating and stating that she's glad that these counter protests, were successful, and she did. She went out and specifically said this. Just kind of shows me that she has absolutely no clue of what transpired in Boston.
She is quickly transforming into the giraffe-necked woman of the White House.
And then obviously the information that Trump, and he did praise, and again, it wasn't that violent. There were a few spark ups, but what the president doesn't understand was that the fact that these groups basically were allowed to shut down our ability to have our constitutional rights of free speech in America. So
Yeah.
that's what scares me. That's what scares me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And here's the big thing. This is what I want to tell everybody is this. Okay, look, this is you have a couple of things, and I need people to really open up their minds and visualize this in their heads. Okay. You have a dying system. Okay. You have a dying empire. And that empire is the United States. And this dying empire is pining for relevancy. It is doing what it can to maintain its hold, its hegemon throughout the world. But the world has decentralized from it. The world has decided to unplug from it, and then two other multipolar superpowers have emerged, and they are working in unison to completely reshape the world, unhinge the world, and bring the world to a much more fair and equitable economic and trade reality. This is an economic and trade reality that is anathema, that is alien to the Western powers that have been running in the United States, in the UK, and in Europe. This is a new paradigm that these old hats have never been ready for. Okay. And if many of you who think, oh, this is just the New World Order rebranded, you could not be not only more wrong, but you could not be more simplistic. This is a very, very different reality, a very different paradigm. We are entering a multipolar world. And in 2015 into 2016, I have been very, very vocal, especially during the 2016 election cycle, that we go into a multipolar world with or without the United States. Okay? If we have Trump, if we are able to get the economy back on track, the physical economy, the economy that is made up of factories, the economy that is made up of real manufacturing, the economy that is made up of people creating and doing things, the economy where businesses and companies are spending billions and millions and trillions of dollars in R&D, in expansion, in innovation. That type of economy needs to be installed. If we go into this new year of 2017 and 2018 with infrastructure projects, with tax cuts, with real cutting of regulation across the board, with a real move towards nationalism and sovereignty and the building of the wall and how economically viable it can be, that will begin to create the infrastructure, the skeletal system on which a new economy, the lifeblood of a new economy, and a new paradigm will begin to form. These are things that I made very, very, very clear in 2015 and 2016. If we do not set those things up, okay, we will see ourselves in a far worse economic situation. It is the equivalent of this time that, we crash the plane, so to speak. Now, I give this analogy before. If we had Hillary Clinton, we're going to crash into the mountain. If we had Donald Trump, we're going to crash into a rice paddy. We're both heading for a crash. One is a lot more survivable, okay? Well, this time we have the rice paddy. We crash into it, and we don't have an alternative in place. There's no rescuers coming. And this is a very dark time, and I think this is probably the darkest time in this administration. I don't know how much more darker it can be. You have 75% of the entire State Department or the Department of Defense that is still understaffed. You have countless backstabbers that are surrounding him, globalist cronies or idiots that don't know their elbow from their rear end. And you have the closest confidants that have been excised from the administration. So this is a precarious, precarious time, CJ. If we cannot get what is needed, if we don't get our act together, if we don't get our economy together on the physical sense, screw Wall Street. Wall Street has no bearing on the physical economy whatsoever. If we don't get our act together in the physical sense, in the physical economic sense, and we don't get our infrastructure together, we don't get all these things going, okay, we're looking at a very bad picture come 2018. Okay, Trump was the boomerang. Trump was the wrench in the gears. He was the outlier. He was the thing that was not seen. He's changed the game. So we had, and likewise, myself and so many others had to change the forecast and tweak a little bit as to what is coming down. And I'm fearful, CJ. Okay, I'm worried. I want to say fearful, but I'm concerned that if we don't get back on track, man, I don't know what 2018 is going to be like, bro.
Right. No, very, very well said. And V, tonight we may be watching, one of those pivotal moments to kind of find out, what is in the future. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, Trump will go live to talk with the nation in regards to the U.S. strategy for Afghanistan. And I think this is very important for us to get some sense of where he is going. Is he going to allow the neocons to continue this perpetual state of war that we've witnessed the last decade? So again, if Trump comes out tonight and he says, listen, and I think that I just got a tweet sent to me from James, the Russian analyst, that he tweeted out that it's time to bring our boys home. I think that could be a monumental moment for us that continue to have hope, to have faith that there's still time to turn this ship around.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This whole speech of what he's giving tonight, CJ, I am waiting on it with bated breath. If it's, hey, it's time for us to get the heck out of there. The place is a crap hole. It's a sieve. Afghanistan will never fix itself. The people are just too far gone. It's not our freaking problem. It's not our business. We're out. That's the right thing to do because we've wasted billions in Afghanistan. Guys, let me remind you, we've been in Afghanistan since October of 2001. Right?
Wow.
I mean, let me remind you, that's 16 years.
Wow.
16 years. Like, what the hell are we doing over there? Besides, protecting poppy fields, right? So if the case is, hey, let's go home, we know, okay, there's some semblance of life. But if the call becomes, oh, we have ISIS in Afghanistan, remember, this is what I'm fearing, CJ. This is what I'm fearful of. Okay, I've been tracking this very closely. Last few months, we've been hearing, thanks to H.R. McNuggets, okay, and the brilliant mind, the brilliant GMO warped mind, the warmonger McNuggets has. That's H.R. McMaster. I like to call him McNuggets. H.R. McNuggets, thanks to the NSC and the fettering of globalist information and intel, they've been saying for quite some time now that ISIS is in Afghanistan. ISIS is in Afghanistan. Yada, yada, yada. And now we have this terrorist attack. Okay, this so-called terrorist attack where, again, is it real terrorism or is it Operation Gladio reborn? Maybe it's a mix of both. Who knows? Where this truck was driven through Barcelona, Spain. Dozens killed. Okay? And then ISIS claims victory. Okay, or claims responsibility for it. So if tonight's talk is we're going to go into Afghanistan, then we know who has the presidency here. Like, I'm waiting for some semblance of. I've seen some good marks. I'm like, hey, okay, boom, we little victories here. Got the pedophile bust. Got $4 trillion in cocaine out of the streets. Starving the deep state. Cut off CIA funding of training of rebels. Yep. We
Killed
see
climate change. Killed climate change. Yeah, absolutely.
Killed climate change. Got us out of the Paris Accords. All beautiful, wonderful thing. Killed some regulations. Try to kill Obamacare. Didn't happen. The foreign policy is the most important thing. That's how we end a lot of this. Okay. So if that talk becomes tonight, hey, we gotta go into Afghanistan. We know who's got the presidency here, bro, and it's not looking good. Anyway,
right. Yeah, and you sent some very telling footage, V, in regards to video that's emerged showing ISIS specifically exiting Syria from a direct area where U.S. forces were supposed to be bombing. Yet it appears ISIS forces were given a free pass to exit Syria. So where are they going?
Exactly correct. And you know what? They're heading back into more safer places. Again, this is what happens, folks. You got the Russians and the Syrian army that came in. They wiped the floor with the USIS. And all of a sudden, here's USIS. They're in the city. And just last night, folks, video has leaked, has gone viral throughout the world. You won't find it here in mainstream media in the United States because it doesn't fit the agenda. Thousands. I'm talking about convoys of thousands as far as the eye could see of ISIS fighters with the ISIS flags on their pickup trucks, waving their AK 47s and their rocket launchers, driving out from one place in Syria, which was being quote unquote bombarded by the Russians, right through U.S. held territory where the U.S. pretty much let them go. Let them go. Okay? I mean, I'm disgusted at this point. Like I'm tired of being played. But this is what is happening here. This is what's happening. This is at some level the deep state's playing us. And I know Trump has nothing to do with this. With the whole it has to do with the elements of the deep state. Okay? I no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm sure there's some men and women in uniform who are like, what the hell's going on? Why are we letting these guys through? And they've probably been ordered to stand down, let these guys through. I mean, I'm literally, folks, thousands, CJ, thousands. Unreal.
Right. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and who knows what are in those trucks, right? I'm sure that you know, weapons, explosives, everything else, and whether they're heading back into Iraq for a new effort there, or are they going to be set up to enter parts of potentially, you know, Afghanistan for a flip there? Who knows what the deep state will attempt to do?
Absolutely correct, man. Absolutely correct. It's unreal, man. Anyway, bro, back on the economic news, the non-existent American worker, CJ, what is that all about?
Just very interesting labor statistics in regards to the fact that a lot of construction companies, whether it's homes, whether it's, you know, framing, all these aspects they're just having a lot of difficulty in this economy finding, you know, qualified candidates.
Yep.
Now, you know, again, you know, one could argue back and forth with the number of operators, a number of other companies that perhaps were operating without proper licensing, you know, to keep the home costs down, all those things, and, you know, some stricter reinforcement policies that come in to say, hey, you know, these things have to be. It's interesting to see specifically why they're attributing to. Now, the beginning of the article attributes to the fact that they cannot find anyone that can pass a drug test. So when I see that, you know, primarily be because I am in the industry, I see it perhaps maybe that was a paid study to show why we shouldn't be legalizing, you know, certain medicinal cannabis and everything else. But I think it also speaks more volume regarding the fact that we, society in part, and you look at the amount of overdoses, everything that's occurring is, you know, regarding society, they would rather have their free money, their free government money to go buy their drugs, their illicit drugs, and
Correct.
stay drugged up versus having to find a job.
Oh, absolutely, man. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is a serious problem. Even we've, you know, reported on it. Even farmers out in California, they can't find workers to fill the space that these migrants have left. And you know, we're talking about work. We're talking about work where they're paying $15 an hour in California. They can't find nobody to do it because this is what happens. We have an underlying class of people that just don't want to work. And we also have people that are permanently out of work and they just can't find jobs because in their areas have been so decimated economically speaking. It's a precarious situation, man. It just shows that, you know, we got real fundamental problems economically in this country. We are still, CJ, we are still in economic breakdown mode. Like the plane is crashing still. It's not in a nosedive, but we are losing altitude. We are losing altitude.
And I didn't put this in the deck, but I think it's important that we talk about it. That some of the information that Rogue Money has been sharing, that we've been breaking down, is not now starting to come out mainstream. There was a great article in the New York Post by Richard Bowen, who was the former city executive who blew the whistle on the subprime mortgage crisis.
Yeah.
And the New York Post had an article in regards to the reason why the stock market is doing so well, V. And they've tracked up to this point, U.S. companies, this quote unquote U.S. companies have spent $4 trillion buying their own stock back, V.
Bingo. Been saying
$4
it's
trillion.
been saying it since 2014, folks.
It's a Ponzi scheme. It really is.
It totally is. I mean, come on, Jeff Bezos, the world's richest man. I mean, come on, get the hell out of here. Get the heck out of here. These Mark Zuckerberg, like he's worth something. That idiot. That kid has a personality of an eggplant. An eggplant has more of a personality than Mark Zuckerberg. He's worth $9 billion. No, he's worth $9 billion in Facebook stock. Bezos, and look, I love Amazon. I really do. I buy from them all the time. Okay? But Bezos is worth that much, $90 billion. Okay? Why? Because of Amazon stock. Because his company's manipulating its own stock. That's what's going on here. Okay? It's we have no money velocity. We're still in a solvency crisis. There is a massive liquidity problems throughout our financial systems. Credit is tight. All the fundamental metrics, CJ, of a quote-unquote consumer-based economy is coming apart and slapping us in the face. We have retail sales down. Retailers are imploding left and right. Restaurant, restaurant chain numbers in terms of how they're doing, they're nosediving. Okay, everything's in total free fall. There's not a single metric that looks up except for Wall Street, because that algorithmic machine called the Dow Industrial is going to keep on marching forward. Dow 29,000, and I've said this so many times, you're going to have a 30, 40, 50,000 point Dow, and that's going to be like the Tower of Sauron, right? This monolithic tower. This is 30, 40, 50,000 point Dow, but it's going to be on a backdrop of a decimated and destroyed physical economy. You want to know where all the money? There's the money. That's the parasitic drain. You want to know where all the inflation is hiding? There it is. Look at the Dow. That's where they're stuffing it. And this whole entire thing is maintained by bond fraud. The whole thing. The whole thing is maintained by bond fraud that's happening in the repurchase order market, the repo markets with bonds. It's happening with the manipulation in the IR or the interest rate swaps. It's happening with the manipulation of what you're seeing with the 10-year yield. All of this. That's how we're maintaining this fake, fictitious veneer of an economy. That's how we're maintaining it. And I'm waiting for this physical economy to catch up. I'm waiting for these massive factories to be built. And what we're having is these congressmen. I'm telling you guys, if we don't get these guys voted out of this 2018 midterm, I was going to say the 2018 midterm Olympics. It might as well be, right?
That's what it's. Yeah, exactly. Right. You're right.
If we don't get these guys voted out in 2018, we're screwed. That's the last straw. If we can't correct the ship, because these morons have pedal to the metal in their stupidity to run us over a cliff. So unless the American public gets tough and wakes up to this fact, I don't know, Siege. I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway.
a lot of truth bombs there, V. Absolutely. So, and just real quick for our listeners, there is new information coming out that in fact the entire Charlottesville was a deep state agenda, deep state propaganda event. Now we are finding out that not only is the FBI admitting that some of their informants were linked to the riots, there are also videos from every white, black, Hispanic, different news people that were on the ground that basically witness buses lined up, 20, 30 buses lined up where there were basically protesters walking out that someone had KKK t-shirts on, someone would have, Antifa stuff on. This was just a complete psyop, a major stage event in Charlottesville, and I'm glad it's being exposed.
Absolutely, man. And we've called it from day one. I even said, hey, this guy seems like what federal agency is this guy working for? When I say some of these interviews being done with some of these characters, especially one of these guys that are in the neo-Nazi, so-called white separatist movement nonsense idiots, right?
Yep.
And especially when Vice News was doing the entire interview, and I'm like, who the heck are these guys? And that's the situation. In regards to this, man, and this is what people need to, really focus on and pay attention to. we find out that Jason Kessler, the guy who was the leader of the Unite the Right, is fake. He's an Obama supporter. He was a longtime, paid individual over at CNN. Totally fake. Totally fake. We're getting played. It's a psyop. It's a psyop. I don't even know if anybody even died, bro.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because
I
we
don't
know
even
that
think
that wasn't a road. That was basically an alley that the cars in front were actually parked.
yeah. I
There
don't
was
even know if
nobody in
anybody
those
even died.
cars except for
Exactly.
the one that the window was so tinted you don't know who was driving that car or if it was remotely operated.
Dude, we have crisis actors that show up. These are actors. These are paid actors. Okay, we've found that there are companies called Crowdfund or CrowdStrike. Whatever the hell the name of that crowd company is, right?
Right.
And they're meeting up, and then they're coming out there and they're protesting. They're doing their thing, and then you have the car that hit. This could be all staged. We're all getting played. You got the fake media, which we know the media has been getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars from the deep state, where the media admits, oh yeah, we, even the CIA admits, yeah, we spent about 250 million dollars a year to plant fake news stories. This could be a giant psyop, man. Who knows? Maybe the girl didn't even die. Does anybody know this girl?
Who
I mean,
knows?
think about it. If your kid got killed, would you be coming out there and 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 talking about the situation? Coming out there, like if your kid died, you think you'd be out like in a day or two and talking to reporters? Hell no. I don't want to talk to nobody. I'd be devastated, bro. I'd be
Right.
devastated for months, years. I don't want to talk to nobody. And every single time one of these events, yes, I am the father and I am the mother of so and so child, and I'm simply devastated. And that's where I'm like, yo, I'm a parent. You're a parent. See, you think we'll be doing that? Hell no.
No, I wouldn't.
And
Last
we
thing I would
see
want to
the
see is the
same.
media.
Exactly, man. We see the same thing with what is that school shooting in Connecticut, Newtown, Sandy Hook, right?
Right. Right.
And the same thing in Sandy Hook, where the kids got supposedly gunned down by one 90-pound soaking wet noodle with an AR-15, supposedly, just gunned down. And this guy, all of a sudden, he walks in there like he's Action Jackson and shooting up the place. Meanwhile, the police are all outside during the same time, eating Subway sandwiches while the whole entire thing is happening. Okay? And they're porta potties and all that stuff, but nothing makes sense on Sandy Hook. I don't care what you think. Nothing. Go investigate. Nothing makes any sort of sense on Sandy Hook. And then the parents of these so-called gunned down kids, they're coming out, oh, yes, my Bobby was killed because of gun violence. Really? Really? If I don't become a seething, raging lunatic looking to beat the crap out of somebody or a grieving, heartbroken individual, you don't see any of those things. You're seeing this calm, cool, collect like a day or two after. Yes, my daughter was hit by a car and died. Really? That's how you react? I'm not buying a siege. Not
Right.
buying it.
Right. Absolutely.
Anyway, the USS John McCain is DOA in Singapore, and John McCain's ship just got hit. I think the ship was suffering from a brain tumor itself and ran into a cargo container in the Strait of Malacca, no less. I would pay attention to that, folks. The reason being is, if you've been following my writings for years, if you've been following my rantings for years, you would know that the Strait of Malacca is the most vital junction for energy flows and energy transporting from the Middle East into China. It's China's most viable corridor. It's their most fragile corridor. And the reason for the New Silk Road and the One Belt, One Road initiative, as I've been saying from day one in 2013, folks, is called the Escape from the Strait of Malacca. It is to counter the fragility of the Strait of Malacca. That is why you have the New Silk Road up and running, and that is why the South China Sea islands are up and operational as well, because of the Strait of Malacca. So the McCain ship, I mean, all of a sudden, CJ, these military ships don't know which way is north. They don't know which way is what, and they're running into container ships that are 10 times as big.
Right. Right. and smack in the middle of a V. It's not like a side swipe. It's not like they got hit from the rear or from the front. These are like, smack. And I'm not sure if you've seen the damage that the USS McCain had, but it was just smack in the middle, no different from the last incident that occurred. And, who knows what's going on here, V? Just complete madness.
I'm glad to know that our taxpayer money goes to building such fragile ships. I'm very happy to see that a bump at 30 knots from an ocean tanker will completely damage and cripple a U.S. warship that's supposedly armored, and there's going to be loss of life. I'm happy to see how good the armoring is. It makes me very confident, CJ, that when a Chinese Silkworm missile will hit the hull of one of our destroyers, that it will burn instantaneously and go right to the bottom. It'll be a quick death for our servicemen. I'm very happy to know that that's where the taxpayer money's going.
Right. And more importantly, that if they were under attack, that in the last two situations, they didn't even have the ability to see it coming. How's that for technology, V?
Oh my God. If they can't avoid a 1,000-foot long, 100,000 plus ton cargo container ship, how are they going to avoid a Russian, Zircon missile traveling at 5,800 miles per hour, 50 feet above sea level, doing erratic maneuvers right before impact? How are they going to avoid that? They're not. They're going to go right to the bottom. This is what I want people to understand. The military-industrial complex is to create a propaganda illusion that we're invincible and to sell us cheap, overpriced crap. I've been saying that for quite some time. And we're finding out how cheap and overpriced the crap is with the continued failures of the F-35 and these idiotic warships that you can't seem to dodge a cargo container. Unreal.
Wow. Unreal. Yep, absolutely.
Anyway, man, what else is there?
Let's skip the next one and jump down. And I know London Paul is going to have a lot to discuss in regards to cryptocurrencies and everything. But this is breaking news in regards to the Congress considering validating Bitcoin.
Oh,
and
God.
This is some anonymous Congress representatives that at this point do not want to be recognized. But there's some very interesting things through this article when it comes to us from the Daily Caller. So I have a tendency to, believe a little bit more of those articles that are coming out. So sources on the Hill, I'm reading here, said various members of Congress are looking at the compliant capabilities of AML Bitcoin, which is just anti-money laundering laws, which is compliant digital currency. Bitcoin is the most famous digital currency, cryptocurrency is skyrocketing, yada, yada, yada. So in short, basically what this states is that they very well could potentially be looking at an alternative cryptocurrency itself, more than likely, potentially, maybe even tied to some of the institutions that are establishment. This doesn't say specifically that they're looking at taking over Bitcoin, anything like that, or Bitcoin Cash. It's just that they're looking basically to try to find a model that would legitimize Bitcoin according to, because right now you hear all the rumors, oh, Bitcoin is used for all these terrorist activities, all that. So it's going to be interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see what these legislatures are doing behind closed doors. Who are they working with? Who's consulting them to help them out, and potentially see if maybe out of this, V, that if the banking cartel isn't trying to create their own cryptocurrency, which they've tried to do numerous times and failed.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, and again, this is what I said. This is an empire that's still pining for relevancy. They don't realize that their ship has left the port. Nobody wants your crap anymore. Nobody trusts the U.S. government. Anything that these guys, I mean, you're talking about a bunch of people that have a 6 to 10 approval rating. That's it. Nobody wants your crap. Nobody believes anything the government does. We're looking to replace you guys. So good riddance. Anyway, folks, that brings on to the end of the program. We've got London Paul coming up. CJ, any kind of shout outs?
Yeah, check out. There's some great articles at roguemoney.net. Over the weekend, there was a lot of discussions. There's new information in regards to Iran and Turkey joining the Eurasian trade zone. So lots of great articles on roguemoney.net. So go check those out.
Absolutely. And folks, meanwhile, between now and London Paul, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to go look directly at the sun with no glasses.
Do not do that, audience.
I'm going to stare at the sun with no glasses. I would be blinded. I'd be a blind ape. All right. With that being said, folks, thank you all for listening in, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Take it away, CJ.